Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful individuals. It is another epi of League Unlock here. Mark here with you. Fine feathered individuals for the winners bracket finals over at the Kespa Cup. Hanwha Life versus Dplus Kia, the rare. Game 5 in the preseason tournament. It's actually kind of fun. This was a very back and forth series. Well, actually, it looked like it was going to be a pretty swift 3-0 as Dplus was down 5k plus, and then some amazing picks from the Zed out of Lucid in the jungle, and the Ahri from Showmaker gets them back in, and they keep the series alive and eventually get to Silver Scrapes.
They keep the series alive. We get another pentakill for your boy Smash. How many is that? 3, 5, whatever it is from the T1 ADCs as a whole. Group them together.
Guma kicks off the series with his own penta, and then Smash gets ones later. My God.
Smash is answering. Smash is picking up his second of this Kespa Cup. Pretty crazy stuff. But yes, ultimately getting to that Silver Scrapes matchup. You know, Fearless Draft having that factor. What are we going to see in this one? We're getting the Camille in the top side for Zeus. Let's roll it. Top side. Carry versus carry matchup. Does Siwoo have it? The answer is he does not have any of it in this Game 5. It is all Zeus and Hanwha Life storming on through and capturing this one, securing their spot in the Kespa Cup Finals and giving us a matchup of Dplus Kia and T1 to figure out who's going to slot in alongside them.
And listen, last pick, you throw in the Fiora, I'm going to put the quotes around counter pick against this Camille, but I respect the confidence to be able to do that against Zeus for, again, one of the youngest guys in the LCK in Siwoo, despite having a year under his belt now. But yeah, Zeus absolutely shows up. That was the main game. You were kind of highlighting him. The Rek'Sai one he also popped off a little bit. But listen, you're feeling good even with the loss if you're D+, because you went toe-to-toe with what appears to be a very high-level Hanwha right now. The bot lane, I can't even speak about the improvements compared to what we got out of last year. And this is, again, 2 rookies, essentially, in the bot lane for Dplus Kia. So still feeling good about them. And on the Hanwha side, again, Kespa, we're only taking light things out of this. But I think Kanavi being implemented into this squad and the concerns about it are definitely flying away to the wayside.
Very, very quickly being pushed aside and being eased and soothed over with some fantastic gameplay and exciting gameplay, really. Not only from Kanavi, but the rest of that Hanwha Life squad, as you talked about. It's absolutely one of those ones where you can certainly talk yourself into the narrative that unquestionably Hanwha Life has shown you that they are a top 3 team within the LCK. Again, also early in the Kespa Cup, but that's where the signs are pointing towards. And, possibly even better than just the top 3. You could even make cases and arguments for top 2, top situation, given the power that they have now on this team and how they're showcasing it at this Kespa Cup. For a Dplus Kia to not back down, to rise up to that challenge in this series, push it to a Silver Scrapes. And I think at the end of the day, as much as I dislike it and doubted it right from the very beginning, going carry for carry in that top side matchup and locking in the Fiora for Siwoo, I think not showing that you're gonna back down from a matchup like that you will, even in a Silver Scrapes Game 5 situation, you're not just gonna say, yeah, you get to play whatever you want into what, we're gonna try and push you for that matchup, try and do something here. It didn't work out for Siwoo, unquestionably, given what Zeus was able to pump out. But I think not backing down from that type of matchup here so early in a Kespa Cup situation is a good motivating sign early for this Dplus Kia team.
Also respect the spice of cooking up a Mel Pike bot lane in that 5th game. Felt a little wacky after just seeing a 12-kill pentakill Zeri game out of Smash in Game 4 to then drop him on the Mel in that one. But hey, this is just another angle. If they are able to play kind of wacky off-meta bot lanes like this, only opens up more opportunities for win cons in that bot lane and for Dplus in general.
If there ever was a time to try and experiment and figure some of this stuff
It's
out,
Kespa.
it's Kespa Cup, and it is a fearless draft Game 5 situation for a Kespa Cup. Yeah, roll that dice, see what you've got in one of these situations, and if that is an avenue that Dplus Kia can bring to the table, can bring to the LCK, that we will have unique, wacky, whatever you want to call it, champions that can come through and be difference makers within a series if it is working. I like that angle from them, and I think it's one of the avenues, again, you can start to bridge that gap between being one of the good or great teams in the LCK to being an elite tier team in the LCK like we know the big dogs occupy.
And Dplus will have a chance to step back into that big dog ring. They got T1 now in those losers bracket. I might actually favor Dplus again. It's Kespa, quote however many times we want to say this, which means T1 we know is not operating 100% and won't be for at least a full split or two before we get to that mid-season. But it feels like Dplus are really out to prove themselves against these heavy hitters in the LCK.
Normally, I would buy that. I would understand that reasoning, and I would look back in the past and say, yeah, that tracks through with the history that we have seen of these organizations, of certain players, whatever. But I think there's something different this year around with Guma Yushi going to Hanwha Life. I think that motivation, that fire, that desire, it is already there for a world championship organization like T1. I don't see them dropping the ball one bit, no matter the contested and the fight that you will get from Dplus Kia, and I think it will be a considerable one that can push this towards a Silver Scrapes, a situation where they are pulling off an upset. But I am not counting on T1 letting go an opportunity to have the finals against Guma and Zays. I don't see them letting that one slip through their fingers.
Either way, again, it's the perfect script for Riot and for any fans of the LCK for it to play out this way. Even though Gen.G long eliminated from this event, we never even saw Chovy. He's still making it on the show because we got to give him his flowers and his shout out. He was honored with the Esports Athlete of the Year award at the Game Awards for 2025. And I know people are harping on the semifinal performance, didn't even get to finals at Worlds. But you still had an MSI champion, multiple LCK titles. He got an MVP. There were like 29, whatever it was, series in a row that Gen.G won. So still 100% deserving of these honors.
It's one of those situations where you would have to ignore so much excellency from a guy like Chovy throughout the entirety of the year in favor of taking the championship route and rewarding the trophy at the end of it all type of situation. And I'm glad that that wasn't the avenue that was taken, that it was given the respect over to Chovy, because you look, again, the numbers that this man has put up through, again, regular season, playoffs, whatever, all the way through, anything domestic, it has been unbelievable numbers and untouched by, frankly, anybody in the history of the game over a short period of time. Never mind a whole year, the way that Chovy was able to put through these results. Yes, there are blemishes. Yes, there is the sting of not coming through on the international stage, and that absolutely is something that you want to see changed as soon as possible if you're Chovy. But getting this type of recognition, one of these ones where I know, again, a little bit of a semi-fluff for fun award show type of situation with the Game Awards, and especially with their inclusion of esports and how much they focus on it, I still think this is a good moment within the gaming community as a whole to get that recognition for someone like Chovy for how fantastic he performed last year.
And how about all the hype and praise we're getting, all the starting lineups for Dplus, Hanwha, and T1, and because Gen.G bowed out so early, didn't have their main starters, we're not even talking about them and all this other hype for other squads. If I'm Chovy sitting at home, I'm going, hey, what about us? You forgot, you're not even talking about us. We're hyping up these other 3 LCK squads.
Which I think could be the best thing possible for a Gen.G, right? Trying to find all the different ways to poke the bear, get them a little bit extra angry and motivated in some of these games. Having a situation where everyone, talk of the town, defending world champions, T1, Hanwha Life, adding in Guma Yushi and gearing up a Dplus Kia with Smash, former T1 bottom lane, all these things. Why aren't you talking about us, the Gen.G that has owned this region practically for the past half decade plus? Yes, I think that that is an avenue that they can maybe, puff out their chest a little bit and try to take a bit more of an aggressive angle throughout the LCK, and for players like Chovy, I think maybe taking more of that aggressor, more of that angry type of personality could be that flair that we're all looking for him, and maybe the thing that pushes him to that next level in these big international matchups.
I think it's time for the Chovy villain arc where he just, starts going off the cuff, starts trash talking more and saying, look at the accolades I have done. I'm ready. That might be the way for him to get rid of the nerves and anything is just go too far over the other way with self-confidence. But I don't think Chovy or Gen.G need any extra motivation heading into this year, but I think all the talk of all the other top teams in the LCK, it won't hurt with them feeling even more inspired heading into 2026.
You shouldn't need any of that extra motivation. I think at more than a fitting label when you're talking about the failures and disappointments that we have seen come through from this Gen.G team, a Gen.G team that has been so dominant and successful outside of those international tournaments. Yeah, I think maybe a little bit of a change in that swagger, that persona, that attitude that you carry yourself to with the Rift. And frankly, let's be honest, it would be more than deserved for a player like Chovy to build himself up a little bit of an edge, a little bit of that personality that grates you just a little bit because he's so good, and it doesn't matter. I would love to see that be one of the angles, and I think it would be, again, something that would breathe a little bit of fresh air, a little bit of fire into the LCK if we do get that response from Chovy and Gen.G.
Ready for the Church of Chovy to go a little dark in 2026 for all the followers. But that is it today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark here with you. Absolute stunners. We'll be back to recap those Kespa finals after the weekend. Thanks for hanging out as always. We'll catch you on that flippity flip.